know who it is. If you're looking at this face and listening to this voice, you are officially tuned in to the best kept secret in sports talk. I'm your friendly neighborhood smoke, and you are officially on the hot seat. And I'm smiling. I seem a bit chipper, right? Guess that means Florida State won. Yes, sir. Florida State won. They finally got their first win of the season. Beat Jacksonville State this past Saturday. So that's what we're gonna talk about this evening. So without any further ado, paying homage to the ghost to my left and my right, I know why you're here. You come for the gospel. I'm going to give it to you. Class in session, baby. Florida State got their first win of the Mike Norvell era. I think they won 41-24. Beat Jacksonville State. Going to talk about some things I like, some things I didn't like. We also going to address the elephant in the room. Listen, there are some people who it seems as if there are mixed feelings about this victory, right? It seems as if people really don't know what side of the fence they want to play about the victory. You can kiss my entire ass with your tongue out. I'm not apologizing for shit. If I'm Mike Norvell and I'm those players, I'm not apologizing for no victory. I told you all last week, it's time for you to curb your expectations. When you see little wins that you saw during the entire game of the Jacksonville State versus Florida State game, you got to take that shit. Because, again, like I said last week, the standard isn't the standard. This is a different football team we're looking at. Probably by midway through the first quarter, probably even by the end of the first quarter, people were saying that Florida State was the worst team in college football. And I wasn't going to argue with them. So when you see them fight out of a 21-7 hole, when you see them show some moxie, some grit, some determination to get a goddamn victory, you have to take these wins. This is what the program is right now. Deal with it. If you decide not to deal with it, you're going to be bitter for the entire goddamn season. It's time for you to curb your expectations and at the very least, have some realistic expectations, right? So let's go ahead and talk about the things that I like. Jordan Travis, how do you not start off with him? I'm not going to go as far as saying, hey, Florida State found the quarterback, but hey, Florida State found they found their goddamn quarterback, right? I said last week that James Blackman should have been the quarterback for the rest of the season. I said that under the assumption that I didn't think Jordan Travis was going to be playing the position of quarterback anymore. I thought the conversation was being had to do as it relates to him moving or changing positions, which I was all for at that time. But had I known that, I'd have said he should have been the quarterback for the entire goddamn season. It was very, very refreshing to see a quarterback truly running RPO in a Florida State uniform. Let that sink in. Look how poised and how confident he was running those plays. Looked how poised he was at reading the defensive end. Even though he probably made the wrong read sometimes, the fact that he at least knew what the hell to look for. The fact that a defense was actually made to respect an RPO concept from Florida State. When was the last time that actually happened, right? When was the last time it happened and it was actually effective consistently, right? So definitely like that. I was pleased with the productivity the offense were able to produce, how crisp they look in some of the things. Crisp. Like, when was the last time you were able to associate the word crisp in the Florida State offense? Like, these are the small wins I'm talking about. You see traction. How many times have you heard me say the word traction? You want to see traction. This past Saturday, we saw traction. Another thing I like, and I was wrong about this kid, Lawrence Tuafili. I said in the recap show I did for the recruiting for Mike Norvell's first recruiting class, I didn't see what the big deal about the kid, right? I was wrong. And let me tell you something. Some of his family members saw that show and they got in the comments and let my ass have it. Rightfully so. And I couldn't be more excited to be wrong about something. I couldn't be more happy to be wrong about something. That kid got some burst to him. He has a really good vision, and he's deceptively quick. I think he's a really good – I think all three of those kids in their backfield complement one another. Speaking of the backfield, LaDainian Webb. He's probably my new favorite player. To see him not just run hard, it's the fact that it's almost like he he invites contact. It's almost as if he wants to impose his will on somebody. Because just as good as he ran this past Saturday, he blocked even better. And it's almost like he wants to block. You understand? This is when you're talking about changing the culture at Florida State. These are some of the small things you have to point out because everybody's been clamoring for a youth movement over the past few weeks. Well, he's part of the youth movement. You get a kid out there who understands what they're trying to do and wants to do it at a high level. It's almost as if the same amount of energy and the same assertion he had on play one, he had at the end of the goddamn game. And that's what you're looking for. Somebody's going to play hard from whistle to whistle, from the first whistle to the last whistle. I was ultra. This is me speaking in hyperbole, but this is just how excited I am to see a running back who wants to be physical, right? Because we were all scratching our head, I guess, after the first two games about the running back group as a whole. Like, this shit is trash. This shit is fucking garbage. Well, nobody can say that after this goddamn past Saturday, right? So, again, super impressed with what I saw from Lawrence to Philly. Really, really high on what I saw from LaDainian Webb. Something else I saw I liked was the use of personnel. Seems as if Mike Norvell was probably filling out some things because number one, I hate the wide receiver screenplay. I understand it, but I hate it. I understand why you running, but I hate it. One thing I didn't understand at the start of the game was why in the hell are you running wide receiver screens to the receiver with the bum knee? That's not Tamorian Terry's cup of tea at this moment. And it's not to say that he can't take a wide receiver screen and take it to the house, but you would probably want to use a wide receiver screen with somebody who's a bit more elusive, somebody has a bit more wiggle to him. That's not Tamorian Terry's game. That is Pokey Wilson's game. And when he was able to get the ball on the perimeter, he was able to do some things, right? So to see him make the adjustment and start calling 80 instead of starting calling 5 of those plays, to me, it's like coaching within coaching. It's the game within the game. And to see him be able to change his philosophy, so to speak, maybe philosophy is not the wrong word, but I guess for him to just change on the fly, I was impressed with that. Something else I saw that I liked was it seems as if Florida State is starting to be physical. People, I don't know when in the hell the last time we could say that with conviction. Florida State was actually physical. Case in point, this was probably Emmitt Wright's best game, I don't want to say ever, but he hasn't looked this decisive. He hadn't looked that instinctive. He hadn't looked that physical in a very, very long time. You could attribute that to him probably not, for him changing coordinators so much and probably not knowing the system as much as you probably would like him to, for him being unsure of himself, him always being injured. I don't know. But it seemed as if he gets it. He was physical. I think we probably found one in Fabian Lovett. That kid gets it. And his name was lost. When you was talking about the Florida State defensive tackle room at the beginning of the season, it was all talking about good chance we'll probably lose 3 defensive tackles to the NFL. His name was lost in the shuffle. Well, it seems as if he understands what to do, how to do, and when to do it. And it's refreshing to see somebody, because I always felt as if Marvin Wilson had somebody to alleviate some pressure from him consistently, because even though we like Robert Cooper, he does have his deficiencies because of his size last season. Even though we like Corey Durden, he's not consistent. If you could get somebody in there who is consistent to, again, alleviate some of that pressure off Marvin Wilson, there's no telling what that kid could do, right? It seems as if he may have found a running mate. Last thing I liked, Mike Norvell holding players accountable. So I don't exactly remember what Jarian Jackson did. I don't know if it was on I think it was on a special teams play, but he got a personal foul. He hindered the team because of it. And I saw people tweeting about it. Mike Norvell got on his ass, and rightfully so, because it was a bonehead ass play, right? But that's not a winning play. And again, here we are having a conversation and talking about culture. You need to let your players know that this type of shit isn't acceptable. That's not winning football. I remember last season when Florida State went up to Clemson. I remember, and listen, Clemson beating the dog shit out of Florida State at this point. I think the right guard, one of the guard spots, committed a false start. I saw Dabo pull him out of the game and shoot his ass out in the process. And I was like, damn. his commitment to detail was impressive. So fast forward to now. And the Dabo thing, I think with that particular player has something to do with him making the same mistake a week prior. Whatever the fuck it was, Dabo wasn't dealing with that shit. And I'm with that. If you were going to do something that is going to hinder this goddamn football team, then you're not going to play. I don't remember seeing Jerry Jones too many players after that. I don't know if he played at all. Keeping with the theme of accountability, I don't know why Dante Lucas didn't play, and I don't know why Maurice Smith didn't start. I know he played the second half, but he didn't start. He missed the first half. I was told it had something to do with curfew, so there was some disciplinary issues going on with the team, right? Dante Lucas is probably the most talented lineman you have. He's not the best, but probably the most talented. Probably the second best. And Maurice Smith has probably been one of the most steady offensive linemen, right? The message you send to the entire team by not playing them is paramount. The message you send to the entire team by not playing them lets them know that I'm Mike Norvell. This is my show. I'm going to run this show the way I see fit. If you would not do what we're asking you to do, then you won't play. I am A-O-fucking-K with that way of thinking. I have no problem with it. I don't think I saw Warren Thompson touch the field. I don't know if it has something to do with him not blocking like he should. I don't know if it has something to do with him having concentration lapses during the game. Could be something I'll feel. I don't know, and at this point, I don't fucking care. If you are not going to do what we're asking you to do, and you can't play, who the fuck would have an issue with that? Because here we are talking about culture. This is how you change it. It's not just about kids going into the transfer portal and leaving the program. It's not just about that, because when you have a new coach, you're going to have to manage attrition at some point, right? So that's to be expected. But to hold players accountable and let them know that you can no longer do things your way, that's one of the ways you can actually exact a culture change on a program like Florida State that desperately needs it. To see what he did with Jerry and Jones, to see certain guys not playing who were starting games prior to, because I was told the definition of insanity is to repeat the same things and expect a different outcome. To me, that does sound insane. Well, here you are, you got your brains beat in by your rival. You're changing things up, right? Which now leads me to some things I saw I didn't like. I told y'all the reason why I wanted James Blackman to start. I told y'all it's because I don't think Tate or Chubb needed to see the field this season because of the offense looked. I'm trying to find a nice way to say this. That offense was garbage the first two games, right? No cohesion, no fluidity. Like I told y'all, they averaged a touchdown a game. The offense was fucking terrible, and I didn't think it made a whole lot of sense to put those two kids behind that offensive line. Shout out to Atkins. That offensive line has had this past Saturday. That offensive line looked as good as it has looked in a minute, and that's saying something when you take into account how many moving pieces they had on that offensive line. You saw Bavion Johnson play two positions. You saw Love Taylor play two positions. You saw Baselli get in there. You saw Chaz Neal get in there. You saw Robert Scott get in there. And at the same time, they still looked good. They looked pretty decent. Run blocking, of course. They didn't look as bad pass blocking either. You didn't see as many missed assignments, and you didn't see as many free guys running through the gaps this past Saturday. So the offensive line has made some leaps and bounds, and Atkins should be commended because of that. You don't want to damage those guys before they even really have an actual chance to succeed at Florida State. That's why I thought neither one of them should see the field as it relates to. They shouldn't start. I'm okay with garbage time, but I don't think, hey, here are the keys to the car, don't wreck it. They shouldn't be given that type of responsibility. So to see Tate trot out there to start the game, to me, it was a bit disheartening, and I was a bit disappointed in Mike Norvell because I figured at this point he would know better. There was nothing that you saw against Miami. There was nothing that you saw against Georgia Tech that says a true freshman can lead me to the promised land. And I don't mean the promised land by being undefeated. I mean the promised land by making this goddamn offense look something worth watching. Tate didn't even display that in his garbage time against Miami. I don't understand why it took so long to give Jordan Travis the keys. I understand Jordan Travis missed a good bit of the fall camp. I get that. But at some point, I would like to think you've seen enough that if you're going to go into this past Saturday knowing that you were not going to play James Blackman, how is he not the person that you were going to give the keys to? Because to say that he had a knee injury, you didn't know he was going to play. If that's the case, how the hell he ended up playing 3.5 quarters of football? So it's something here. I'm not buying this. Something here that makes me scratch my head as it relates to what the hell made you all think that he wasn't capable of doing what he did this past Saturday. And it's not more so of what you see and what you don't see, I guess, but just having a gut feeling. Because he may practice terribly. I've heard he doesn't look good in practice at all. But some guys just, when the lights are on, they shine the brightest. I was told that Jameis Winston wasn't the greatest practice player, but when the lights came on, it was showtime for him. Everything just clicked for him, right? There should have been something that Mike Norvell and Kenny Dillingham saw in him. You started a true freshman over him. Like, just let that sink in for a second. You started a true freshman over him. Do you understand what you're saying to not just James Blackman, but what you're saying to Jordan Travis? You started a true freshman over him. So I don't think it's as important, but I do think that's something to keep an eye on as it relates. Here's why I think this is important. I don't know how much money Memphis was paying Mike Norvell. But as far as I know right now, he's a multimillionaire. Florida State didn't make you a multimillionaire for you to be reactive. Florida State made you a multimillionaire for you to be proactive. You can't make these type of decisions in a reactionary state because it puts Florida State behind the 8 ball. That's not what they're paying you to do, right? Prior to Saturday, when Florida State got off script, they looked terrible. Whether it was down in distance or whether it was a broken play, they looked fucking terrible. Insert Jordan Travis, they don't look as bad. You have long drives. You see third downs being converted. That's a tough kid because he took some really tough licks, especially for a guy who had a bum knee. I don't know what the hell was wrong with him, but that should have been something that told you that maybe we should start Jordan Travis instead of the true freshman. Maybe we should start the guy who has more experience at the position than the true freshman, because he played the entire game and he's been inserted now as your starting quarterback going forward. So I guess I'm hung up on the reactionary piece of it, and with things being so bad at Florida State and every move you make being torn to pieces, being dissected the way they are, you can't afford to make too many more moves like this. Because one thing that I was worried about for the rest of this season was, how is Florida State's product on the field going to look to recruits? If we're going to have a conversation about turning all this shit around, at some fucking point, you're going to need talent. You can't keep bringing in middle of the pack players and expect this program to turn around to what we remember it to be 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. You're going to need blue chip recruits. I remember Nick Saban speaking more than once about how bad he thought Alabama was when Julio Jones committed, because sometimes you just need that one. You just need somebody to buy in, because regardless of how bad Alabama looked, they looked competent. They looked as if they understood what they were trying to do. It's kind of hard to send your kid to a loser, which is what Florida State was. And they weren't just losing, they were losing badly. So it was bothering me. It was worrying me to a degree to where I was wondering, how is this going to turn around if you don't get the players that you need? So and I digress. I'm getting off topic, but to me, that's just how important decision making is. If Jordan Travis starts game one, Florida State is 2-1. Do you have any? Just even if we're just talking about the optics, do you have any idea how good 2-1 looks versus 1-2? Because I'm not here to apologize for wins. I don't give a good goddamn how bad they would have looked against Georgia Tech had you won. 2-1 looks better than 1-2 going into Notre Dame. Because here you are with the possibility of being 1-3. Just something for you all to think about. Outside of that, why in the fuck is Leonard Warner still on the goddamn field? Somebody gonna have to explain this shit to me. I went back and rewatched the game, and there were times in which I was just keying on him. Nobody else, nothing else, just him. Leonard Warner looks like you ever been to the fair and the House of Glass, the House of Mirrors or some shit? He looks like he's walking around in one of those. Leonard Warner on defense is the equivalent to what Bavion Johnson is on offense. You just wonder how the fuck can you be at the program? How in the hell can you have played football this long in the ACC and still suck this goddamn bad? To be a blue chip recruit, he was a 4-star recruit. Bavion Johnson was the number one center in the country when he got to Florida State. How the fuck do you look this goddamn bad? It's almost to the point to where I'm thinking that maybe he has some type of incriminating photos. Like maybe he got Adam Fuller doing something he ain't got no business, or maybe he got something on Coach Marv. I don't fucking know, but somebody's gonna have to explain to me how the hell this goddamn boy keep touching the motherfucking field. Cause shit, like at some point you reach your wits end with people, right? I'm there, and I'm not even here to harp on kids. Like that's not what I do. But god damn, boy, what? It ain't him. Damn that. People make the decisions. So I don't know if the final decision rests with Mike Norvell or Fuller. Speaking of Coach Fuller, it's time we address this shit. And I'm not finna rag on him too hard. Because the defense did play better in the second half, right? They only gave up 3 points. But I'm failing to notice if he made any type of adjustments. As far as what I saw, the kids just played better. And if he did make some adjustments, hit me up in the comments, let me know. Maybe you saw something I did it. I only saw that 3-3-5 shit a few times in obvious passing downs. I didn't see it that often. Because I'm not a fan of seeing Marvin Wilson on the edge again. I don't want to see that shit. That's not, you know what? When he was named Florida State defensive coordinator, to me it was a head scratcher because I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck would you bring him? Because it's still Florida State. You can still go out and get any goddamn body and bring him in and say, hey, coordinate this defense, right? So I was wondering how the hell you got Adam Fuller, right? You know what? Let me do my research. Let's give this guy a chance. Oh, okay. He turns defenses around. With goddamn it, Florida State defense need to turn around. One thing that irks my fucking soul, this is with any sport, utilizing players in positions to where they're not going to succeed. I am all about getting the maximum amount out of any player you can. One way you do that is putting them in the best position that's going to let those skills shine. I have studied his defense a tad bit too much, more than I like to admit. I'm done with with whatever you call Stud and Fox. Now, fuck that. I'm not using them names no more because for us, what I've seen and what I was told that these positions are, the wrong goddamn players are there. So I'm just going to use spots, goddamn. I'm just going to say names. Fuck whatever the position is. I don't know what those positions are anymore. Wherever Janarius Robinson is, take him out and put Amari Gaynor there. Half the goddamn time I look up, it looks like to me Amari Gaynor is a motherfucking safety. I'm tired of seeing Amari Gaynor drop back in coverage. That's not his That's not what he was brought to Florida State to do. He didn't change his body type to drop back, to learn how to backpedal. He was brought here to rush the fucking passer. You have somebody on the edge in a 2-point stance, and it just happens to be Janarius Robinson. And that's not to say Janarius doesn't provide something for the goddamn football team, because I think he's pretty stout against the run. But if we're talking about a team who coming into the game had, 2 sacks, you need to try to find as many ways to apply pressure to the quarterback as you can. Put Amari Gaynor in that position. That makes sense to you? Where Amari Gaynor is, you take him out. You put Jaden Lords-Woodby there. That kid doesn't have a goddamn position. He's too fucking slow to play safety. I don't want to go as far as saying he's been ruined as far as what they've done to his body, but his skill set can be utilized. I told you all in the 5 players we needed on defense to make this goddamn team succeed, I told you exactly what you needed to do with somebody like Jaden Lords-Woodby. It's not that he's playing bad. He's not playing badly. When the plays come to him, he makes them. But you don't want to just, hey, I'm out here tackling people. No, fuck that. You want to have him making plays. Put him in a position to do it. The same shit, the same things you were asking Amari Gaynor to do, not only can Jaden Lords-Woodby do them, he can do them better. If you are going to continue to have somebody, I haven't seen, and again, if I'm wrong, get in the comments, let me know. I haven't really seen a team attack Amari Gaynor in coverage, which to me is mind-boggling, because I would throw his goddamn way every goddamn chance I got. And he's not actually bad at it. He's just not very good at it. I'm not saying Jaden is very good at it. I'm just saying he'd be better. He'd be better utilized there. He'd be better utilized in a position that whatever it is that you're asking, whatever you call that shit, because it's not what I was told it was called. Fuck that. I've seen how you utilize it. Whatever you're asking Amari Gaynor to do, Jaden Lords-Woodby should be there. Where Jaden Lords-Woodby is right now, you take him out. Who do you put there? Brendan Gant. It's time for some goddamn coaching to be done, people. It's time for some coaching to be done. One thing we know about Brendan Gant is he want to hit some goddamn body. He may take piss poor angles. It seems as if he doesn't even know how to play the goddamn position of safety sometimes. But one thing we know he wants to do is hit some goddamn body. Until Hamza Nasruddin is able to come back, that's what you do with Brendan Gant. You put him in that position and allow him to hit people. You teach him technique. You teach him angles. You teach. At some point, his football IQ is going to have to increase. I'm not saying it's low, but clearly it's not high enough, because we see him get ran by quite. I would say more than we would like to, right? I think we can all agree there. You're going to have to start coaching. Prior to this game, the coaching was the biggest thing that was in question. Even after the Miami game, you still had people saying this team is better coached than what it was last season. That was bullshit. That was a motherfucking and a goddamn lie. That team was not better coached prior to Saturday. If you're going to have a conversation with me about the areas in which Florida State has improved, I'm going to have a conversation with you about the areas in which they've regressed. If you're going to tell me special teams look good, or they look better than what they did last season, fine. No quarrel here. If you're going to tell me that the offensive line looks better than what they did last season, again, no argument out of my ass. But we're going to have a conversation about that wide receiver room. It looks worse. We're going to have a conversation about that linebacker room. Before last Saturday, it looked worse. We'll have to have a conversation about that running back room. Looks worse. We'll have to have a conversation about that goddamn DB room. It looked worse. Not as bad as last season. The operative word here, worse. It didn't look better. So you tell me how the hell that equates to a better coach team. There is nowhere in here you can tell me that prior to Saturday that this team is better coached than what it was last season. That's just a goddamn lie. And depending on who you listen to, they play word semantics with you, right? It's almost like they're trying to give you a Jedi mind trick. No, sir. The eye test tells me that these goddamn kids aren't better coached than what they were last season. The goddamn outcome of the football games were telling me that these kids were not better coached than what they were last season. So Adam Fuller's going to have to. People want him to be more aggressive. I'm not here to debate none of this. I'm not here to dispute any of that. What I'm telling you is that there are players on this team who have a certain skill set that are being misused, and you are wasting talent. Nobody is paying you to do that shit. Nobody. I told y'all what was going to happen if I saw Janarius Robinson drop back. Listen, man, help me understand how much sense that makes. Help me understand how that is beneficial to the defense. Go ahead. Cue in the motherfucking Jeopardy music. That's what I thought. I don't see how you were telling me that if he's going to drop back in coverage, Amari Gaynor isn't better suited to do that. I don't see how Amari Gaynor standing in the 2-point stand rushing the quarterback, him being more bendy, him being more twitchy, him being faster, is not better. He's not in the better. He's not better suited in the position to do that than Janarius Robinson. You can't. You can't. And in never to not beat a dead horse, go ahead and end it right here. Adam Fuller done got me all off topic, man. I appreciate your time as always, man. I sincerely do. Continue to hit those like buttons for me, hit those subscribe buttons for me. Please share these videos with people who you think enjoy this type of content. You can follow me on Instagram at the Hot Seat 19. You can follow me on Twitter at the Hot Seat 19. Continue to leave all the comments you can. I try to get up under there and chat with as many of y'all as I can. I appreciate all the support. I promise I do. So listen, man, to the next time, y'all know what it is. You official off the Hot Seat. Y'all be good.